Hey guys, this is Femi Lambert, and today I'm going to show you how to get random strangers from all across the country to send me 25, 30, $50,000 on a weekly basis. People that I've never met before all across the country are sending me tens of thousands of dollars per week. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. I'm going to show you how I built my business to the point where random properties that I never see, random people that I never see are sending me money weekly. It's actually pretty crazy when you break it down like that, but that has been my life for the last, I don't know, coming up on 5 years now. So let's get straight into it. Basically, there are three pillars that I'm going to break down for you today to show you how you can do the exact same thing and how you can build a business where people are just sending you, wiring you tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on a weekly basis. Let's get straight into it. All right, here we go. So, for those that don't know, I have been buying and selling land, vacant land from all across the country since I was 21 years old. So, literally vacant land just like this, properties like that. And I've made over $1 million in profit doing this. And while traveling all over the world, while living my life exactly as I see fit. And you know what's crazy? When a little personal side story, when I first started doing real estate, I was a Division I track athlete at Long Beach State. And the only thing I wanted to do at that time was just make 150 grand a year so I could support my track efforts and go to the Olympics and fund that and essentially just sponsor myself. That was my goal at the time. And I've made $150,000 in a week before. So it's really crazy that this is where I am now, that I'm in the position where I built a multiple seven figure profit business. And now I can show other people how to do it and help them do the same exact thing through these three pillars and through these three systems. I've helped multiple people do the exact same thing. I've helped people make hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, get their first deal, make 20 or $30,000, test the model, see how it works, and make a lot of money. A lot of money. I've helped people go from $10,000 to $250,000. So this is what I do, and I honestly love this. I love this model because it's really changed my life. So I'm going to show you guys the three pillars and how I've used them to really build wealth for myself, take care of my family, live my life, travel around the world, and do whatever I want to do so that you guys can do the same thing. Now, the first pillar, and the most important thing, one of the most important things, I'll be honest, all these are really equally as important. But one of the most important things is your marketing. So when we actually start acquiring these properties, the first thing we need is leads, right? We need to get leads in. So the way we get leads is by marketing. So we actually use direct mail and SMS text blasting. We curate that towards a specific profile of person with the problem. So let me go back. With direct mail and with SMS, essentially, we are able to pull. You know what? Actually, there's one more thing on here, market selection. This actually ties very closely with your marketing. With our market selection, we select markets and where properties are selling within 90 days. The max that we want to see, I want to see properties that are selling for $250,000 within 90 days. And I also want to make sure that the demand in the area is anywhere from 50 to 100% more than supply. When I see that in any market, then I could start sending direct mail and SMS blasts towards those markets. The biggest way to scale in this kind of business and make a few $100,000 a year is by doing larger deals. So we want to be doing deals where we're making 30, 40, $50,000 on. So that way we can only, really, all it takes is 5 to 10 deals a year to make a multiple six-figure profit income. We want to be in markets that are really good and the demand far outweighs the supply. So once we find that, we start with the direct mail and SMS. Now, our direct mail templates, I have a multitude of them that I share with my Landverse clients, but essentially it identifies a problem that a seller may have, and it shows how we have the solution to provide liquidity for their problem extremely quickly. So common problems that people have are divorce. They've never seen the property and they just want to sell it. 1031 exchange. They found another property that they want to sell this one for and not have any capital gains tax. they're behind on their back taxes, they're in debt. There's so many reasons why people would sell their land. There's so many problems that people have as to why they end up selling to us. Now, our job is to provide them with the solution of providing cash quickly. The biggest thing to understand with that is the framing around the problem and all these different problems and how we provide one solution to all these different problems. That's one of the biggest parts about our marketing. If they don't have a problem, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but if they don't have a problem, if they don't have a pain, it's going to be really difficult for us to do any kind of business with them, right? It's also important to be consistently marketing. So I'm consistently sending out mail and sending out text. Do it on a daily basis. Mail is on a weekly basis, text on a daily basis, doing that by the tens of thousands. Now, the more marketing you send, the more situations of people's problems that you create. So if you're sending out 20 or 30 or 40,000 text messages, 10,000 mailers a month, quality mailers curated towards a specific person with a specific problem, then you're going to get more people with that exact problem that you can help solve. That's how this works. That's how the marketing works. And as we continue to market, as we collect data on responses, we're optimizing for our response rates. When you start optimizing for response rates, then you know what, this one page template works a lot better than this two-page template. And for context, we have a two-page template that says who we are, what we do, what a person's potential pain might be, and how we can help. On the second page, it has a purchase agreement, literally with an offer price on it for their property. We have, and these are a couple examples, I have about 10, 15 different templates that are in line with what I'm explaining. One of the other templates is a check, and it makes a seller think that when they open it, they're going to receive a check. So when they open it, it is a check, but it says, hey, you can turn this check into a real one if you give us a call. And it actually has a number on it. So it'll say $94,000. Give us a call if this is something that looks interesting to you. And they call. Now, with marketing, some people call, they yell at us, they curse us out. But, I've been really focused lately on quality in my business, quality over quantity. There are so many people that are trying to do this business model that go on Google and look up a two-page letter template. And honestly, those templates suck, right? Because there's no quality and everyone else is sending out that exact same template. So what I've done is taken my process and figured out, okay, what are the most common problems that these sellers have? And how do I solve those problems? How do I speak specifically to that person that has that problem in my copy, how I write the letter, and actually identifying their pain? How do I do those two things and consistently doing that? That has skyrocketed my business and many of my other clients' businesses as well. So, this is marketing in a nutshell. You also want to make sure that you're optimizing for your response rates and knowing that one form of marketing is better than the other form of marketing. So, okay, if I had a 7% response rate on this one and I had a 4% response rate on this one, okay, why? Let me look at the two, which is why I split test in my business very constantly. Now, next, and I'll be honest, this is the most important part because you can do all of this. And if you don't do your acquisitions correctly, you'll never close any deals. You won't make money and you won't have random people from all over the country sending you tens of thousands of dollars per week. So, relationship and rapport building comes with acquisitions. This is one of the most important things. This is a skill that a lot of people just don't have. A lot of people don't know how to build relationships and to build rapport with random people. Now, one of the biggest ways to get really good at relationship or rapport building with a seller is practice. It's really important to understand with this too. I think a lot of people watch all these sales videos and they think that you got to do all this like all this like all this nonsense just to sell someone. And what you don't realize is that all you need to do to sell someone is understand their pain and how you can help, right? It doesn't need to be like, oh, well, I can do this. Like no one wants to be spoken to like that, which is why I teach you to build relationships. When you build relationships, that's so much more valuable than the traditional, grab them and shake them sales. Who wants to do business like that? I personally don't. I like to build relationships with people. I like to build trust with people. I like to show people that I can help them. And here's how I can help. And if you want to do it, cool. If you don't, that's fine. No worries. But I do need to get to the bottom of your pain. And if you can't build a relationship with someone and you can't get to the bottom of their pain, they just won't trust you enough to tell you what their problem actually is, which is why that's extremely important. So One thing that we do at Landverse actually is we do a live sales and role play training on Friday. Every single Friday, we do a live sales and role play training with our clients, and we live role play and break down how are you building this trust and building the rapport with the seller based on their situation. So it could be a profile of person that, and this is one more thing that I'm going to explain, is seller profiles as well. But it could be a profile of person who is angry, who is smart, who is happy, who is upset. You just have to know how to adapt to all these different kinds of people. That's really, really important. And the more you practice this, the better you become at it. Now, when you're on the phone with any seller, it really should be them talking most. So you're asking questions and talking to them in a way that they start to open up to you and tell you about the property, tell you about themselves, tell you what kind of pain points might be on the property, what pain points they have. They start telling you all these things. Now, that only happens when you're patient and when you let them talk. Ask them a couple questions. When they start talking, let them talk. That's how this works. The other thing too is it's important to understand that these sellers, you're not their first priority, right? Because it's a deal that you'll make money on, obviously it's your first priority because it's your business. And so you need to make it that. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen leads in a person's CRM that they called like once or twice. I've had deals where it took me 100 times to call a person before we actually got the deal done. And I'm talking about 100 times and several hours spent on the phone. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a build wealth with time scheme. And honestly, build wealth with little time. I think I'm going to make that my slogan for Landverse. Build wealth with little time. Because after a few years, if you are able to do everything that I'm saying in all of my videos and follow it start to finish, you'll make yourself $1 million cash profit after a few years. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you can consistently follow up with sellers and have those conversations and make touch points on a consistent basis, then and only then will you start to consistently get deals done. Even if you feel uncomfortable talking to people, you know the best way to get over that is by picking up the phone and calling. That is the best way to get over it. You can sound like garbage on the phone. It doesn't matter because you're practicing. You practice, and you record your performance. When I started flipping land and I didn't have any acquisitions managers, no team, nothing like that, all I did from sun up to sundown was talk to people on the phone. I would sit there and literally talk. I would have a bottle of water or a Gatorade or maybe even a little snack, but I would sit there all day. So I wouldn't even eat lunch or breakfast. Like that's how obsessed I was with this, with following up. That's what it took. And I did that for a couple of years straight before I looked at my bank account and I was shocked with what I saw until I started looking at my assets and I was shocked with what I saw until I started looking at how cheap things started to become. And I was shocked that I could spend 20, $30,000 on something and it mean nothing, or spend $40,000 on something and it mean nothing, right? It's crazy, right? But this is what happens. That's a life that you build for yourself when you start to follow up with these sellers. That's what happens. The other thing too is a lead management process. And these really tie in together. Follow up and lead management tie in together. But you can't let your leads just float around in your CRM. You can't let them get lost. You can't say that, oh, well, the seller said they wanted $10 million, so I'm not going to follow up. You can't be looking for warm leads all the time. You can't look for that. It's your job to warm up leads. You need to turn a cold lead into a warm lead, into a hot lead, into a person that sells. And the only way for you to do that is to build rapport, build a relationship. And yes, there are going to be times where people don't want to sell to you right then and there, but it's important to still make the touch points. If I've even established an inkling of interest from a person, I'm going to consistently follow up with them. They're going to hear from me over and over and over again. They're also going to see how I've helped people and how I can help them. They're going to continuously see that in emails, in text messages, and everything that I'm doing. They're going to see that from me. If you don't make a seller see how you can help them, if you don't show your value to a seller, all of the sellers are not going to just be open and ready to sell right away. You also need to separate yourself from everyone else. There are other people doing this. So how do you separate yourself from the 5 other mailers and letters that are there? By following up consistently, by building rapport, by actually like putting your feet down and building a relationship. That's how you do it. The last thing to understand is seller profiles when it comes to acquisitions. Now, there are so many different types of people that are looking to sell their properties, and you have to understand these different kinds of people. And because I've had thousands and thousands of conversations, I know every single kind of seller profile that there is. And I know even when someone is acting like they don't want to sell, I know that they do want to sell. And so I know how to warm that person up. I know how to build that relationship with that person. And that really just comes from practice. The thing is, though, once you join Lambers, you get me training my team. You get me going over sales huddles, doing live sales and role play training. So a lot of these things, this is already done for you, right? All you have to do is go through it and learn it. There's a process to this. You don't have to make thousands of calls to start getting good at this like I did. You don't. Now, to get really good, to be a top 1%, you have to put the work in no matter what. It's not going to just happen overnight. But all these processes, all the acquisitions processes, lead management, follow up process, all of that is within the Landverse program. So I do that all for my clients. Once you start to understand seller profiles, then relationship and rapport building does become extremely easy for you, because then you know how you need to talk to someone, you know how to mirror their tone, you know how to negotiate with them, you know when to negotiate with them. You know how to get a pain point out of them. You know how to get them to be honest with you. The other thing, too, a lot of sellers will lie, right? And so if I haven't built that trust with them, they're going to lie to me. They're going to lie to me. And this is a mistake that I've made before, because I've come to the closing down properties and found out that there were bodies buried on a property before. Why? Because the seller lied, because I didn't build enough trust. So when you start to build more trust, the sellers are honest with you. And you still have to do extensive due diligence with all these properties before you buy them. Extensive, because there are going to be some people that will tell you that, hey, this property is perfect, there's nothing wrong with it, I've never had any problems with it, and they're trying to get rid of it and just trying to cash out. Which is why you also need to understand that profile of person that's just like, oh yeah, everything's great, everything's jolly, everything's fine, when in reality it may not be. So due diligence is always a really, really important piece of this. Very important piece. So we want to make sure that all of our properties have access, physical and legal access. We want to make sure that there's not trash all over them. There's not hazardous waste on them. Even if there is trash, I've done cleanups on property. It doesn't cost that much money. We want to make sure that the property is not too sloped. So we want to make sure that it's at least like, flatter land. If it's sloped, then what kind of game can you hunt on it? Is it recreational? Does it have flat parts of the property? Like, I need to know every single piece of the properties that I'm buying. And I've bought anywhere from, small parcels of land, 3-4 acres, all the way up to 700 acres. So I've really done it all. I've done all kinds of different deals: ranches, hunting land, farming land, residential land, you name it, I've done it. And so it's really important to understand due diligence. And I'll likely make a separate video on how I do due diligence and comp properties for the deals that I do. So lastly is dispositions. We need to go and actually sell our properties. I'm using A-Player land specific brokers to sell my properties. I don't use someone that's on Zillow selling houses. You need to identify local land specific brokers. And in my time, I currently have worked with over 200 different land specific brokers all across the country. So I have all these people in my Rolodex. What's important about listing properties with land specific brokers, they will do showings on these properties. They'll take people to them. They know how to sell it. Like, they know how to sell the land. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't know how to do, is sell land. So you need to know how to have a local land specific broker on your team and make that connection with those people. I have really good connections with local land specific brokers, and that has taken my business, just to the top, right? It's also important for you to understand how to tell a story to the highest likely buyer profile on any given property. So if it's a 40-acre parcel of hunting land, then I need to capture some of the aspects on it, like this. Okay, I need to capture a creek, right? If there is deer on the property, then I need to capture that. If there's a hunting house on the property, I need to capture that. I need to be able to capture all these different things in order to attract my highest likely buyer profile of a hunter. If it's a property that I'm building on, well, I need to show that this property can be built on. Even in my descriptions, I need to show, hey, imagine building 20 homes on this 30-acre parcel of land. Imagine the generational wealth that can be created with this estate. You got to sell it. You're selling the property. I always think about the buyer that's on the other end of this. What are they going to think when they see this listing? And how can I get them to click on this listing over any other listing? And the more consistently you're able to think about that and do that, the faster you sell their properties. I'm in the game of speed. I want to sell my properties in 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, or less, right? That's how quickly I want to be selling my properties, because the faster my cash turns over, the more money I make in a shorter period of time, and the more money I make just in general. So I need to turn my cash over as quickly as possible. I don't like my stuff to sit on the market. And a lot of people will way too conservatively price their properties, and they end up sitting for months and months and months when we need to be as aggressive as possible. Now, lastly, we have reputable title companies and attorneys that we build relationships with for these properties. So at acquisitions, once we talk to a seller and get a property under contract, we then actually open escrow on these properties with reputable title companies and attorneys, depending on the state. Some states are attorney only, so there's escrow attorneys that, they do the exact same thing that a title company does. So once we received an offer from a highest likely buyer profile on the market, we accept the offer if it's a really good offer and we can make a profit off of it. We close on the property and the title company sends us money. And that's essentially it. I mean, here are a few examples of some properties. Here's a HUD where I made $100,000 on. I actually broke down this deal. If you guys want to check the deal out, I'll probably put it in a card right here. It's like $90-something thousand on that deal. And that's essentially it. I mean, this is our full funnel from start to finish, marketing all the way to dispositions and collecting cash. So if you want help doing this, if you want help putting these systems into your life, into your business, book a strategy call with me below. My team and I will be happy to help you scale your land flipping business to $250,000 a year or more in pure profit. By the way, I only speak in net profit. In 2025 and beyond, I have helped multiple people make tens of thousands of dollars on their first deal, help multiple people make multiple six figures in profit within their first year working with me. And you can go through my YouTube and see all of these testimonials, all of these people that I'm referring to. And I love doing this. I'm very passionate about helping people, and I genuinely love doing deals. So if you want to start doing deals like this that change your life and make you a lot of money, and you have random folks from different states that you'll probably never visit for properties that you'll never see, sending you money, a lot of money on a weekly basis, go ahead and book a strategy call with me below. Comment on this video if you like this video. Make sure to subscribe and like the video as well. And comment below what you want me to talk about next. I'd be happy to take a look at the comments and see what to do next. This has been Femi Lamverse, and I'll see you guys in the next video.